The eastern sector of the city of Rome provides an interesting context for the analysis of the center-periphery relationships transformation, both in terms of urban pattern and vegetation and in terms of socio-cultural diversity, peculiar to the historic Roman periphery. The area is a part of that city belt that was once called the periphery, and which today, however, with Rome's development increasingly outward, is in fact considered semi-central. The sector examined is already a largely urbanized area, and yet the few green or undeveloped spaces remain exposed to speculative risks. But for other areas, the effect of archaeological and landscape constraints have made possible to conserve the heritage of open spaces with high biodiversity values that accommodates uncultivated lands, whether concentrated in large reserves or spread throughout the meshes of the built environment. It is precisely this type of diffuse vegetation that affects the general layout scheme of the Green Ring, which represents a fundamental tool for the city to define a strategic vision for the area concerning the most important environmental lines in the southeastern sector of the city. Throughout the creation of the terrain model, the contour lines that characterize the gentle slopes of the residual areas were extrapolated, and these directions suggested the location of the new tree species, the ground vegetation mats, and the possible paths and trails within the system. So this system seeks to hold together under a single operational methodology the redevelopment of mixed areas. The residential intervention also follows the logic of reading and interpreting the context by identifying the setting of the Casalino neighborhood as a basic mold. In contrast to this, which consists of an array of buildings in line with a sloping profile, this project seeks complexity in the building type and in the social mixity, trying to maintain a clean design for the individual buildings, while in their formal aggregation, small squares are created alternating with the buildings, also with the function of filter between the park with a strong presence of spontaneous and wild vegetation, and the neighborhood that is highly paved and lacking in public spaces. The final node of the proposal studies an area with a strong industrial character, a peculiarity not very common in the Roman reality that has never been characterized by a strong productive component. This is the ex Nia area, which had occupied a prominent position among the industrial activities of the city, and which today, after a long abandonment and various attempts at speculation, has turned into an island with a strong green side and a natural lake corresponding to the overburdening excavation of a construction abuse. The flora of the entire area includes 358 wild species and 133 cultivated species. Abandonment has triggered a slow process that has restored the original plant population of the Roman countryside. The project, in coherence with the rest of the strategy, sets on the traces of the old pillars a kind of bridge balcony, both to connect the new building interventions to some old recovered buildings, and to create a kind of walkway in the wild landscape and to give continuity to the area of the lake. On the traces of the old pillars, a park is set with tree species and vegetation mats, allowing nature to evolve from the rigid design setting into wild and spontaneous landscapes. Time will be a key actor, both in the adaptation of nature and valuable to the inhabitants because it reveals to them the ability of natural system to regenerate and evolve harmoniously regardless of human constructions. And again, it is a time that the more it is suspended and dilated, the more it is able to show the multiple aspects of the beauty of the untamed in the passing of the seasons.